Well, the EPA's decision on renewable fuel obligations is presenting problems for those in Canada intending to increase soybean and canola capacity. Host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney, joins us now for more. Sean, thanks again, as always, for being here. So talk about the EPA's announcement, why this is a deterrent in Canada.
Well, we definitely heard a lot of concern, even from U.S. Side of the border, in terms of sort of the low bar that's been set for 23, 24, 25 when it comes to the bio-based diesel, which includes renewable diesel. We've heard nothing but hype and discussion about how this is really the future, especially when it comes to demand for soybean oil and canola oil. But really the decision by EPA this week was quite disappointing. So if you're looking to make an investment to dramatically increase crush capacity or maybe get into crushing canola as an example, this week's decision by the EPA may give you some pause in terms of okay, is there some detachment from what the Biden administration is saying versus what EPA gave us in terms of numbers this week? So I think it's going to cause some people to sort of maybe put some capital on the sideline and just be a little bit more patient.
Sean, other factors that play a role in the planned renewable diesel expansion?
Well, I think the big one that I've heard from a lot of the Canadian industry, now this is a factor when it comes to crush capacity. It's also a factor when we talk about trying to expand plant protein processing. Is the IRA. The IRA is attracting a lot of processing and manufacturing capital south of the border, where Canadian companies are looking at accessing the IRA, setting up facilities in the U.S. because it's more economically feasible because of that money that flows from the IRA in comparison to doing it in a country like Canada. So I would say the IRA is a huge factor here for the Canadian side of the border.
I'd like to talk about the Canadian Clean Fuel Regulation. That's going into effect on July 1st. Talk a little bit about how different this is or is different from the RFS here in the States.
Yeah, so one of the big differences, my understanding, is that Canada is looking at a carbon intensity absolute reduction when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions. So the regulation, basically, it doesn't matter whether you use ethanol, renewable diesel, SAF. There's a lot of different paths to reducing that carbon intensity. It's basically you pick your lane. It's not necessarily a volume obligation where we have to blend an exact amount or a certain amount of each of the types of biofuel products. So that is one of the differences. It's actually one of the criticisms that I've heard from some people. They would prefer the system south of the border, which is more volume-oriented, than sort of the opaque, more complicated system that Canada has devised. We've seen the Conservative Party of Canada who's the official opposition, really rallying against the implementation of the CFR. The maritime premiers have asked for a delay in the implementation because they think it's going to be a loss of maritime jobs and make fuel even more expensive in the Maritimes where it already is. So there is some concerns, and we'll see how the implementation goes here July 1st.
Yeah, really going to have an impact on the economy for sure, especially with those lost jobs. Sean, thank you so much. Host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney. You catch Sean on his show. Real Ag Radio airs 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's weekdays on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. Love having him join us here on the Market Day Report.